All right. Welcome to a Great White North Extra. This is going to be a special episode of the Hot Seat. We've got Humbucker, who's going to be our contestant today, and we got Charles in the studio too. But before we get into that, let's lay down a little bit of a background info. Recently, these Georgia standing stones were blown up. I don't quite know what happened. I don't know their significance. I only heard about it when this happened. It seems like a lot of guys on BitChute are wigging out about it a little bit. And so, of course, I had to bring in our resident BitChute boomer, Humbucker, to explain the situation.
Yeah, I texted NP when I saw it happen. I was like, "Oh, base, someone blew up the Georgia Guidestones." He's like, "The what now?" I was like, "Come on, you never heard of the Georgia Guidestones?" So, I can't be
Never.
alone here. Have you, Charles?
Yeah, I heard about them. I knew about the whole little detail. I don't know. For me, seeing it, like, it just kind of didn't really seem like that much. Kind of a nothing burger of a thing. Like when I was, early on when I first saw it, I'm like, whoa, like you each planning something. But then, like some of the stuff you kind of passively agree with. Some of the stuff is sounds like cringe, like normie liberal stuff. So
Yeah.
like a lot of it's contradictory and it's
Okay,
kind of like a weird thing.
Let's not. We'll get into that part later, because that's going to be basically the nature of this hot seat. For now,
Okay.
Tell me what were some of the conspiracy theories surrounding these?
Well, a brief backstory, I guess. And I'm by no means an expert on what happened here, but I guess someone in, I want to say, early 80s commissioned this big monument in Georgia. It's giant stone pillars with sort of a liberal 10 commandments scrawled on them. And there's all these, and no one knows exactly who commissioned them, because the guy who actually got it done and hired the contractors and stuff was sworn to secrecy. He never said who was paying him. And there's, you can go down some weird rabbit holes. Everyone's got a theory.
Yeah, it all sounds very Reddit to me. Like, remember that monument they put up in the desert?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, those.
Yeah, because
the obelisks.
Yeah, and it turned out to be like a Monster Energy drink company advertising. Was that it?
It was some like promotional like video for something or a promotional campaign for some product. But I'll let Humbucker go into more detail here because I think he's got more info than I do. But I actually just saw today like some libtards claiming that this was like the Guidestones were commissioned by a white supremacist, and they're citing this John Oliver video about the Guidestones. So like there's like theories that it's like a white supremacist like Nazi doing it, and there's theories that it's like New World Order, like Freemason, like everyone has some sort of angle for whatever, like. So yeah, that's why I'm like, what the hell even is this? No one seems consistent.
I didn't realize John Oliver had talked about these. Yeah. John Oliver thinks white supremacists are behind everything, though. So no surprise there, I guess.
Well, they're behind his wife. Okay, so what's some of the better conspiracy theories? I heard someone say they turned on CERN again and they blew up. That was pretty good.
That is good. I don't know. I haven't heard anything specific. Basically.
So it's just generic conspiracy stuff.
Generic, some globalist guys.
If a guy's going to start talking to you by the 7-Eleven about the Freemasons, he might mention these stones.
Exactly. Yes. They're sort of seen as like commandments of what the reptilians or whoever you think controls the show.
Yeah, New World Order.
What the rules they want to live by.
Okay. Yeah. Of course, we know who runs the show, and we know that they've got a whole book. It's called the Talmud, and so whatever.
Right.
Anyway, just kidding. Am I? No, I'm not. All right. So I guess it's more simple than I thought it was. I was hoping for some wacky tale to be told here, but...
Well, it's something you can go down, like I said, you can go down rabbit holes on it, and people have spent way too much time digging into it, but...
All right. Okay, so but what interested me, I read these and they didn't really shock me very much. So what we're going to do today is play a very special game of the hot seat, and it's going to be a head-to-head. You're both going to answer.
At the same time?
Yeah. I'll go 1, 2, 3 after each of them, okay? Just to sync it up.
Okay.
Okay? So your only possible answers are based or not based. Or based or cringe. Okay?
Okay.
So, welcome to the hot seat. Bah, bah, bah. Okay. Number 1. Maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature.
Cringe.
Cringe.
Okay, wait for the 1, 2, 3. But
Yeah, they're supposed to
Oh.
wait for the countdown, Charles.
Well, I was used to all
Cheater.
the old hot seats.
yeah,
where
no, I
you
know
the
this
whole...
is a little different. This is a hot seat
Okay.
variation. This is like
Okay, I got it. I got it now. I got it.
It's more like the Price is Right we're gonna delve into here, like all sorts of different games. Okay. 2. Guide reproduction wisely, improving fitness and diversity.
Cringe.
1, 2, 3.
Cringe. Sorry.
Yeah, that one's based.
Okay. 3. Unite humanity with a living new language. 1, 2, 3.
Cringe.
Based.
4. Rule passion, faith, tradition, and all things with tempered reason. 1, 2, 3.
Based.
Cringe.
Okay. 5. Protect people and nations with fair laws and just courts. 1, 2, 3.
Based.
Based.
6. Let all nations rule internally, resolving external disputes in a world court. 1, 2, 3.
Cringe.
Based.
7. Avoid petty laws and useless officials. 1, 2, 3.
Based.
Based.
8. Balance personal rights with social duties. 3, 2, 1.
Based.
Cringe.
Prize truth, beauty, love, seeking harmony with the infinite. 1, 2, 3.
Based.
Based.
10. Be not a cancer on the earth. Leave room for nature. 1, 2, 3.
Based.
Based.
All right. So
They're not that bad, really, are they?
no, most of them
I've
are.
never actually taken the time to read them. Everyone just points out the first one about limiting the population.
I could even almost go either way on that. Like, obviously, the people who are in charge of the world right now, we don't want doing that because they'd kill us first thing. But if it's just 500 million of me, and as Galal's put it, the goth farmer chicks, I'd be perfectly fine with it. But of course, that you don't get to pick who. I think is cringe. Ultimately, is. But it's almost like,
Well, yeah, like something like that rests on this, like, again, libtard, like, climate apocalypse assumption that the Earth, like, doesn't have enough resources to sustain its population. Like, no, it does. Anyone who says otherwise is just stupid. Like obviously we can maintain no problem.
and
It's yeah, again, it's just this like weird fantasy that no, if you live in the real world and if you manage things properly, yeah, you can sustain it for everyone.
only up to some point. I don't know quite where the carrying capacity is and where you'd want it to be. But that will resolve itself one way or the other, and you typically quite quickly in nature.
Yeah, like I think even now, I mean, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure there is a global collapse in birth rates, even in Africa. Like it's not like we're on this infinite trajectory. So
Yeah, it's just
like a lot of these assumptions about global population and how to maintain it are just premised on completely inaccurate assessments of what is actually happening.
I have a feeling. I've always had a theory about that, and it's city people are like the population density is higher than anyone is naturally comfortable with, and on the internet, it brings the whole world kind of into your living room, right? And that gives like this artificial sense of crowding as well. So it feels pretty crowded, but it's largely artificial.
Big part of it, yeah, for sure, because like no one who's living rurally is feeling crowded at all. And you, unless you're in like the tightest of tight cities, and it like you're not feeling overcrowded. I mean, even I think again, I'm not 100% clear on this, but Tokyo is one of the most dense cities in the world. And even that, because it's maintained properly, like you're not going to feel
Unless you're on the subway
claustrophobic.
at rush hour.
unless you're on the
maybe,
subway, yeah. But like, so like a lot of these things, again, you're biasing a lot of what your assumptions of the world are based on your sort of hyper world existence.
I do believe it is crowded psychologically, and with this internet stuff. If you can't be your town's best cobbler, you're just a really shitty shoemaker because there's 500,000 people from all over the world who are competing against you.
Right.
Anyway, okay. So,
Yeah,
Humbucker.
Just hearing all those, they're also vague and subjective and require 10 different qualifiers and clarifications to even know what the hell they mean, really. It's just
that's
vague
a really
nonsense, really.
Well, we're
Who
not
took the time to carve that crap into a rock.
We're not gonna.
What a waste of time.
I mostly want to focus on the ones that you guys answered differently on, and I think 2 was one of them. Guide reproduction wisely, improving fitness and diversity. Now this one it's got a little poison pill in it, doesn't it? The diversity bit. However,
Again, that's
Why
why
is that a poison
subjective.
pill?
just as a word, but if you think about it, like you don't want the Hutterite problem of everyone getting terrible eye problems. You have to bring in enough genetic diversity. Now,
Well, I mean, you don't even have to go that deep. You can just say this is again. This is like what Humbucker was saying. Is it's so vague. Like how do you know what they mean? But like if you're maintaining the diversity of the world and keeping ethnicities as they are, and you're improving, as opposed to this homogenization of everybody into a single race, if you're allowing for that process to lead to greater ethnic diversity, like why would that? I don't see that as a bad thing. But again, this is one of those qualifiers where it doesn't say clearly.
Right.
I forget if I even. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go.
I forget if I even said based or cringe.
Okay,
because
you agree with Charles there?
Yeah, I do.
All right.
Yeah, but then you could read it a totally different way and get a totally different conclusion. And that's how I felt about all of them.
The eugenics question is extremely tricky because, again, it depends who's doing it and how and why and to what end.
You hear that?
Yeah, but okay. Let's move.
Just to I guess we'll move through, but just to finish that off, you can have this weird genetics, eugenicist obsession with guiding all these things, and I don't really agree with that approach. But I do think, again, if you're improving fitness by keeping people healthy, but it's just all these qualifiers have to come into play.
All right. Yeah. Totally. Unite humanity with a living new language.
What the fuck does that mean?
Esperanto, probably, or whatever it's called.
Yeah, Esperanto. That's what came to my mind.
That one's just stupid. It can be interpreted 7 million different ways. It's just meaningless rubbish.
We already did anyway. It's called English, whatever. All right. 4, real passion, faith, tradition, and all things with tempered reason. This has some interesting philosophical questions and maybe, modes of being. I tend to agree.
I think that's a cringe on that one. I just think it's intentionally vague so that you can just. It comes back to this Enlightenment notion of using reason and rationality to guide your whole approach to these spiritual things, and is that really how you maintain that and how you approach it?
But on the other hand, you don't want to be a slavering zealot,
Yeah, you do. Why wouldn't you want to be a zealot?
I don't know. I think of a guy who's some of the more pious people I know, and they have a certain quality of stoicism about them, or a bearing about them that could be said to be reasonable. Anyway.
Sure, but again, the assumption on the question is like you're ruling passion, faith, and tradition. You're standing over them using your reason, and that's not really how it operates.
No, in fact, it should be vice versa. I would ultimately say your faith and tradition should guide your reason, and that passion should guide your reason too. This guy must be terrible in bed.
It's a reasonable approach.
Reasonable pace, a reasonable time of day.
Yeah, you know what? I was just thinking, because I think the idea behind these ostensibly is like after there's some sort of terrible event, people are supposed to go to this and take it for instruction on how to move forward. I'm just picturing like 3 people wandering through the ruins of Georgia after a nuclear war, and they stumble into this. And they're reading this crap. They're like, okay, thanks, man. I really just wanted to know where to find some plants that weren't irradiated. I don't need to know about living new languages. My skin's falling off. They could have made these a lot more practical, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah. You're right about the vagueness. All right. Protect people and nations with fair laws and just courts. Of course. No one's disagreeing with that anywhere in the world. Let all nations rule internally, resolving external disputes in a world court. Well, the world court part might bother some people.
Yeah, like I wouldn't necessarily think it's it's all good, but when it's so vague like that, you can like just going back to read whatever you want into it. And I would say, it'd be kind of weird to have a world court that has to mediate everything.
Yeah, the nations ruling internally is awesome.
But because if nations are ruling internally already, then why would you need to have a world court?
Yeah, isn't that a contradiction?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So, but the premise of you have nations ruling internally and having a space to negotiate and govern between each other, a neutral ground, I think that's fine. It wouldn't make sense to have like a whole separate other court above it. It would just more so just a mediation plane.
Maybe a code of honor. Like we were talking about in the last episode, actually, or that'll be released a while from now. Okay. Avoid petty laws and useless officials. Well, duh.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks,
and again, it's right, but like, what does that even mean? Like, you just
make sure you tie your shoelaces up too. Balance personal rights with social duties. Okay. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Where's the balance sit? I mean, that's the question's never been.
But the whole point, I mean, again, this is like almost an anti-liberal thing. Like liberals, like you get rights no matter what. This is saying, like your rights come together with duties. Like,
right.
So I don't.
And like the one above, it at least acknowledges nations, so it's not terribly liberal at all. It doesn't say ethnic nations or nations in an Aristotelian sense, but it could mean that. Okay. Balance personal. We did that one. Prize truth, beauty, love, seeking harmony with the infinite. It's like great, new age nonsense. But,
it's got kind of new agey stuff that's really.
But I've said, I think on this show, look, we got to prize truth, beauty. I don't know, I said love, but yeah, of course.
It's not, again, if you're putting that above a material values, then sure, that's better than what we have anyways.
It's good, yeah. And I actually almost entirely, I think beauty and love and truth are the kind of transcendent things to shoot for. So yeah, I'll give that one most points. Be not a cancer on the earth, leave room for nature. Again, where does that balance sit? And no one's disagreeing with that whatsoever. Although some people think that every national park should be curated with perfectly crafted hiking trails. But
no one thinks they're a cancer on the earth. No one's going to read that and be like, oh, shit, man, I was really being a cancer on the earth.
yeah, that's so true.
Yeah.
I better rein it in.
Yeah, the guy who owns the diamond mines that are like just spewing out toxic waste into African rivers is like, it's just one little patch. Like, even he doesn't think he's a cancer, right?
Right.
That said, it's a good value. very Canadian value. I'm actually tempted to think maybe a Ontario man made this. All right. So they're offensive in their banality. So why?
Yeah.
So why did people make this a? I don't get how this could bend anyone out of shape unless they're offended by poor taste and vagary.
Well, all it is that it's a large monument that had quite a bit of work put into it. There's a mysterious background behind it. And then that first commandment of maintaining the population at a much lower level than we have now. So everyone says, okay, so that whoever made this thinks that 6.5 billion of us need to die. And how are they going to do that? That's the entire argument for why these things are bad.
Okay. That seems like a gross overreaction considering the circumstances.
It absolutely is.
It's probably Pepsi. I'm going to put my money on this whole thing, including his tearing down, is an advertisement for Pepsi.
It's just a long game. That's maybe. Yeah, when one of the stones exploded, there was a Pepsi ad hidden in the rocks.
There was 3 mulatto girls with flowers in their hair that burst out and start doing a dance. That's the ad.
The nice thing about being the editor on this podcast is now I can go back and change all my answers to cringe, because I regret saying base to any of them. The whole thing is cringe.
Yeah.
This monument's cringe. Taking the time to explode it is cringe.
Yeah, I agree with that.
An explosion is never cringe.
Okay, you're right.
No, you're gonna. That's what you're gonna explode out of everything.
I get. Well,
Yeah, like 100 watermelons would be cooler.
Yeah.
Or
But the thing I found the funniest is you have a lot of the reaction. Some of these big Twitter accounts even where you're like, oh, cool, base, they blew it up, awesome, and like they agree with 90% of the stuff on the stones. Some of these people that are advocating like we need, a healthier, fitter man. We have all this degeneracy going on. We're it's a whole dysgenic society. So what do you actually disagree with on the stones?
Wait, they were put up in the 80s? The whole thing was a
Yes.
David Duke campaign advertisement, and he just forgot that he made it.
There you go. Now you confirmed the white supremacist theory.
Yeah.
No, it's funny like seeing like right-wing personalities and like libtards all cheering on this thing blowing up because they both have completely different standpoints and understandings of why it's a bad thing.
I didn't know that libtards, this was even on their radar. In my mind, that the only people who knew about the Georgia Guidestones were like people who also listened to Alex Jones. I didn't realize that John Oliver had done a segment on them or whatever. That's surprising to me.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it right now, but there was some libtard lady that had this big long thread about how as bad it's actually white supremacists. Here's the John Oliver link, and then further down, she's like, I'm ashamed of myself for being upset that they were blowing up just 30 minutes ago. So and then turns out she was agreeing with most of the stone until she found out that there was potential ties to white supremacy, and then suddenly she disagrees with every point.
That's true. I kind of fell into the same trap. I mean, I saw they were blown up, and I just, I'd associated them in my mind with, well, this is some sort of globalist monument. I'd never actually even taken the time to read what was on them.
Well, now we've uncovered it all.
Yeah.
I guess so.
Well, I'm glad they're gone, and I'm glad this is the last we ever have to talk about them. I'm glad that my interaction with them only lasted one day.
They're not entirely gone, sadly. Whoever did it did a half-assed job.
No,
two-thirds there.
No, I thought they went in with backhoes
They
after and
said it
demolished
was
the
a
rest.
safety hazard and got equipment in to wreck it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's actually just made a good case for doing a half-assed job. Then someone else has to come and finish it for you.
Yeah. Clean it up back.
The funniest thing I saw about that is like someone made a joke. Like they got the equipment the next day. You never get equipment the next day when you need the heavy equipment.
Hey, good point. Good point. That's a week wait at least. Okay, the conspiracy deepens. We'll probably have to do a segment on this every week from now on. I know, I'm just kidding. That's it.
Top tier content. This is what the listeners are here for.
That's what everyone tunes in for sure.
All right, that's long enough. This has been a Great White North Extra. Thanks for tuning in.
See ya.
You guys.